Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Pacoda. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Robert Hutchings. I will be chairing the hearing today. I'm joined on the panel by Mr. Mike Colatruglio and Ms. Valerie Warhoon. Representing the assessment department is Mr. Tudagala, and our administrative personnel is Ms. Pakoto. We have no Zoom participants, I believe. Okay. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements, sorry. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by council and is independent of it and the city administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to
Court of Kings.
if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be assessed with each applicant following their swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony, followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. All of the evidence about an application has been brought forward. The applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We will be hearing items 2 through 7 on our docket today. Ms. Pakoto, please affirm the assessors and the applicant's testimony.
Thank you. Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Nuwan Tudugala Munasingha.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Ms. Applicant, please stand. Please state your full name.
Sandra Sousa.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Good afternoon, Ms. Souza. Good afternoon to the assessor.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Our first item on the docket is item number 2. That is file number 24-208, roll number 1404221, 3,000. We're dealing with a 2025 realty assessment appeal. And the address is 291 McCrae Avenue. Mr. Tudagala, just bear with me 1 second while I pull up your brief piece. And the applicant has the assessor's brief in front of her. Is that correct, Ms. Souza?
That the email that I received from you guys?
The assessor's brief that he's going to present that has his appeal information.
Yeah. Yeah, I
He's-
got the email that you guys
Okay.
sent.
So he's going to be presenting his evidence. And then I'm not sure if you've appeared here before, but the process that he'll present his evidence. Then you'll have an opportunity to question him on the evidence that he's presented. Then the panel will have the opportunity to do so also. And then we will proceed with the evidence that you've presented. Then the assessor will question you on that evidence presented, and then the panel again. And then you will both have an opportunity to make a summary of your appeal. Okay, so Mr. Tudagala, please, when you are ready.
Okay. File number 24208, roll number 14042213000, 291 McCrae Avenue, roll year 2025, reference date April 1st, 2023, assess value 1,183,000. Property, you can see the property description. Actual build year 1960. In page 2, you can see the Google map, and you can see the aerial picture of the property. In page 3, you can see the request for income information. We got income information for this property, and I have to mention here, subject property have sales on August 2021 for 1,175,000. So our assessment come at 1,183,000. Overall, our value perspective, I think model gave us the pretty good estimation for this property. Page 4, you can see income valuation summary. Average monthly rent for this property 756, and based on that, gross potential rents come at 108,960, with vacancy rate 3.3. Expense ratio, we have used 50%, 50.04, and the net operating income comes at 52,640. We have used 4.45 capitalization rate. Based on that capitalization rate, estimated market value came at 1,183,000. You can see the comparable on page 5. You can see I pulled 4 comparables. This is just pulled by myself. So this is in line with the subject property, in line with the comparable. You can see those. In page 6, you can see the capitalization rate. Those capitalization model generated capitalization rate. And page 7, you can see capitalization rate evidence. Purpose of this demonstration to show you the accuracy of model. And page 8, you can see Municipal Assessment Act excerpt. Page 9, you can see the MLS sales information. And page 10 to 13, I pulled this information from I Google it, and then I pull from the internet, and the picture, inside picture of the building, interior picture of the building. And lastly, I attached the income and expense information. This is end of my presentation.
Thank you to the assessor. Ms. Souza, do you have any questions on the evidence presented by the assessor so far?
I do. So the monthly average rents that were pulled, I'm not sure if this was pulled before February, because we went through the above guidelines, and based on what you guys dropped our rents at, that doesn't match what our minimum rents. So minimum rents for a 1-bedroom is $582 and a 2-bedroom is $746, even with the 2 units that were updated through the above guidelines. So we have 2 out of the 12 that have only been updated, which is the pictures that you guys see there. Every other unit, 10 units, have not been updated to what the pictures indicate. It's more so the picture that I had shared originally. So that was kind of my question about where did you get the $756.67 as my average rents? Because when I calculated, it's $678.25 based on the RTB above guidelines.
Okay.
Yeah, actually we use a mass appraisal system to value the property. So we don't pick directly from your submission or your income and expense mailer. So this is a mass appraisal valuation. So that's why you can see the exact number with like average rent for actual rent for from your income and expense mailer.
Sorry, I didn't get where you said it came from. It's like an average of what?
Basically, we do the like mass appraisal system. It's not just your like information. We collect the whole city information, and then we run the program or the mass appraisal system, and then we comes up with the value. So those numbers are we pick from the same kind of same size properties within your market region. So that's how we assess your property.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm just looking at actuals, right? So when I looked at your guys' assessment, it's really based on projection. So just background from where I come from is like when we get a
Ms. Souza, excuse me. Yeah, I'm just going to ask you to ask questions of the assessor's evidence. An opportunity to present your evidence, okay?
After, okay.
Yeah.
The other question I have is around if the cap rate on page 6 shows 4.75, why are we doing a cap rate of 4.45 for the assessment?
You can see on page 7. This is so basically, you talk about capitalization rate on page 6, right? Is that
Well, yeah, for the city of Winnipeg, it shows for multifamily 4.75, and you have a 4.45 as your cap rate for
Yeah.
this assessment.
okay? Basically, in here we mentioned 20th percentile to 80th percentile. So basically, in bell curve, we have to 0 to 100. So your capitalization rate within 20 percentile. So that means less than what we show in here. That's why your the capitalization what we use for your property didn't show in here, don't show in here. But if you are going to the page 7, you can see our capitalization rate evidence. So in in your size, that means building, we use we have actual capitalization rate around 2.99 and 4.72, between that range. So I think you can understand why why the model use that capitalization rate to value your property.
Right.
Does that answer your question, Ms. Souza?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, the assessor has pointed out on page 7 specific cap rates based on sales that occurred on similar structures as the subject property, and in his opinion, 4.45 is supported by those comparables, in his opinion.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, or you need a moment to compile questions? Take your time.
So majority of your assessment is based on the types of units in the area, a projection, a potential rents versus actual. Is that correct?
I mean, actual means we don't use your actual, but we get information from the whole property owners in this that area, and we use the whole those actual to value the property.
The actuals of when it was purchased or when the property was sold.
You mean you are talking about the cap rate, right?
I think just in general, so like, for example, your gross potential rent is 1,008. Like, that's like quite a bit off from what we're actually collecting. So what you're basing your assessment on, is it based on what like other properties in the area averages?
Like basically what happened, we collect information each year from the property owners, and then we ran the regression analysis for those. So in that point, I think that's the, I mean, average rent for the area.
Okay, for the area. And it's based on what the property was last sold at. Is that correct? Or just based on the information that's provided to you on an annual basis?
Yes, for a capitalization rate, yes, we based on the actual sales, and we verify those sales. That means we look at their income and expense mailer at least 3 years to stabilize their income and expense, and then we came with these capitalization rates.
So Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, you can ask the question.
So why don't you guys use, why do we use a lower capitalization rate for, so like when I base on the cap rate at what your 4.45,
Mhm.
you know, there's other properties that were also have a higher cap rate of 5.75, there's 5.30, but we're basing my cap rate at 2.9, in between 2.99 and 4.72. So why don't we consider all of it, and why don't we consider the Cushman Wakefield and the Colliers, which is what we potentially use to really get appraised in a property?
Okay, Ms. Sousa, with all due respect, the information the assessor's presenting to you is what he's here apparently to defend.
Okay,
And it's hypothetical to ask him why he wouldn't use this or that. He's
Okay.
here in front of this board to present the evidence that you've got in front of you and we've got in front of you. He did use 4.45%, and he stated in his opinion that's correct. As for the rental rate that's applied to the subject property, your property, he's using $756 approximately per month. He's justified it on page 5. He's justified it by providing 4 apartment buildings in the region, Mountain, McGregor, Church, and Charles, to defend that rate. Now, that's his opinion of value. Obviously, you have a different opinion of value using actuals. So we're going to listen to both parties, and we're going to decide what information we're going to use to either confirm the value or reduce it accordingly. But this is the evidence that he's presented, okay? So it's as simple as, yeah, okay?
that's all the questions I have.
Okay, thank you very much. Does Ms. Werhoen, do you have any questions of the assessor?
I did, but I think he explained it to the applicant with the rate. So none at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Carlo Truglio?
I just want to ask, just to be clear, this property sold, Mr. Assessor?
Yeah, this property was sold in August 3rd, 2021. For
What was
one,
the cap rate of that sale?
we don't, I mean, I didn't calculate cap rate of this sales, but it's approximately 4.1 for this property.
Okay. Fair enough.
Because I didn't stabilize the income for this property. Because of that, I can.
And that's fair enough. I'm just was curious to see what that number was. Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Carlo Truglio?
No, I believe that's got it.
Thank you. To the assessor, please, so related to that question of the sale, in your opinion, is that an arm's length sale, open market?
Yes, one of our colleagues did verification, sales verification. So it's arm's length sales, as
Okay.
we know.
Okay. Okay. And has anybody did an assessor, would you have information on an assessor visiting the property to do we'll call it a sales check to confirm the condition of the property at the time of the sale, or a current condition possibly?
I didn't, in myself, I didn't inspect that property.
Yeah. Do you have any record of another assessor visiting it?
As I know, not currently, but I think they contact, as per not, we have done the sales verification, contacting the owner. That's what I see.
Okay, so you did a sales, the owner was in communication to provide answers to a sales questionnaire, is that right?
Yeah, based on the note.
Okay. Did you provide that sales questionnaire to us? I don't think.
No, no, I'm sorry. Actually, I missed that.
Okay, we can, we'll discuss it with Ms. Souza when it's her opportunity to present her evidence. Okay. And I think that is all my questions. Ms. Souza, bear with me 1 second while we get to your brief, okay? Okay, does everybody has Ms. Souza's brief in front of them?
Yes. I do.
Okay, Ms. Souza, when you're ready, please.
You just want me to read my email?
Yeah, read your presentation for us now, please, and it's your opportunity to discuss, in your opinion, why the assessor is incorrect on the assessment.
Can I use my own notes from based on how I assessed his assessment?
Yes,
Okay.
sure, yeah, go ahead.
So what I sent is just a kind of brief overview of our rent roll. So you can see there our total rents is 97668 with monthly rents of 8139. That is current as per RTB above guidelines in February that we went through. So our annual income and then our expenses leaves us with an NOI of 52,155. Looking at where the cap rates are today, and it would be based on the appraisal company that we typically would use is the Wakefield. Hold on, what's their name? Oh yeah, Cushman Wakefield is who we used at the time of purchase. When we purchased the building, the cap rate was at 3.5, and that's what the property was appraised at. With the cap rates at 5.75 today, it brings our property value lower than what we purchased it for. So we purchased it for the 1,175,000, and the assessment is more than what we've purchased, and the property value with the interest and the cap rates actually reduced the property value. So that's what we have assessed the property based on the NOI divided by the cap rate. 907,000 would be the value of the property as of today with the interest rate and the cap rates. I just want to, and then I also included the email from the RTB above guidelines that shows what the current rents are registered at today as of this February. I think they made the final decision March or April, if I'm not mistaken. So a couple points that I wanted to, like, when I looked at the assessment, I looked at it as you guys assessing it on an analytical projection basis, whereas we were looking at it obviously from a actual, right? So when I looked at my actuals at 97,668 as my actual rent, and then my NOI at 52,155 at a 5.75% cap rate, my property still valued at 907,043. So it's still not even close to what it has been assessed at. When we purchase a property, we always get an appraisal. Obviously, you guys know that. So when it doesn't matter what income property, it's always based on the current rents, the current income that's coming in, not based on the actuals, not based on projection. The projection may be looked at from a long-term perspective, and we have no problem, you know, paying more or being assessed more if the actuals were matching what is being assessed at or being provided. We did see an increase of 3.5 to 5.75 as stated on page 7 for the cap rate, which significantly drops the value of the property. When we qualify for a mortgage, we also look at actual rents, not projections. And then the other thing, just from just being a homeowner for the last 24 years, I've never had an assessment that is more than what the property was ever purchased for, or even because it's only been a couple of years since we've owned this, so I don't see the property increasing that much with everything, considering the cap rates, the interest rate, and all that stuff as well. When I looked at some of the rent comparables, I get why, it's hard to do some of the comparables just because they're not an apples to apples comparison. But to my earlier point, our average rents are $678.25 versus the $756.67. We have only 2 units out of the 12 that have been renovated. So when I looked at, some of the comparables, I didn't feel it was a apples to apples comparison. Even the rent on subject, I think 2, there's 11 units, but they're all 1 bedrooms, and their average of 1 bedrooms is $806. So when I look at my average of 1 bedrooms, it's $582. So I didn't feel like, with what we're comparing it to is an actual to what we are seeing today in our building. And then that's pretty much what I was kind of wanted to share, really, because when we looked at what it was assessed at, it threw us off, of course, and considering everything and not being able to do rent increases, there was a freeze for 2 years, not being able to complete all of the, and then we had to wait 2 years because of not having the 2 years of financials. When we purchased the property, they didn't have their financials, so we had to wait 2 years before we did the above guidelines, etc. So, we couldn't, so if we just look at it from when we purchased it to where it is now, the rents may have gone up slightly, but not much. It actually slightly decreased as well, because we had to drop all the rents due to the previous owner not doing the rental above guidelines or rental increases. So I just didn't feel that it was fair for us to be assessed at a lot higher than what we purchased it and then what it's valued at. I don't know if anybody has questions.
Okay. That's the end of your presentation.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. To the assessor, any questions on the evidence presented by the applicant?
Yes, Chair. I have 2 questions. Maybe I ask one by one, or?
Yes, please.
Why do you select 5.75 cap rate based on what kind of criteria?
Because when I purchase a property, or when I purchased this property, we base it on the Cushman and Wakefield, because that's what we get appraised at. So we would assess the property based on what the appraisal company would be assessing it at. So when we purchased the property at 1.175, it was based on what the cap rates were at that time. So if we look at what the cap rates are today at 5.75, and that's who we would use today as our appraisal company, that is why I would look at it from that. Because if I go to the bank, they're going to ask for an appraisal, they're going to come back and Cushman and Wakefield are going to use 5.75 as the cap rate. Hey, I'd love to be able to use a 4.45 best of the cap rate, trust me. But that's not the reality that we are in today.
My second question is, this property was recently sold. Since then, do you think the property values went down at the reference date?
Based on the rent income, yes. So the rental income has, I'm trying to remember where, let's see if I have it. So our rental income. One sec. So we have. At the time of purchase, it was 87, so our rental income went up slightly, and that's because we renovated the 2 units. And we went through the above guidelines approval, right?
Yeah.
So, but then in February, all of the rents for the other 10 units pretty much dropped. So we're back at the 97 because of the 2 units that we renovated, and then but overall it did increase, but then with the cap rate the way it is, it still doesn't increase the value of the property.
Actually, I asked about general property value. That means, in general, do you think the property value went down from that sales date to reference date? Like
In what, physical?
yeah,
physical
in
property value?
like average property value in the city.
Well, we've been trying to do renovations, so I would say that it's starting to improve, but it's not where it needs to be. Like, we put in a new roof and we tried to update it, so the property value has slowly increased, but it isn't just solely viewed at based on the looks of it. It is based on the income.
Okay, that's all my question. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Assessor. Mr. Colatordo, any questions of the applicant?
Yeah, I'm just gonna try and zero in on your comments about the cap rates first.
Sure.
You can appreciate that we have Collier's, CBRE, and Cushman Wakeman. The only ones that are actually weighing in on low-rise multifamily are CBRE. So the other cap rates, it appears, are for a different style of apartment than what you seem to have, I think. And I'm just basing that what I'm seeing. So when you purchased the property,
Yeah.
you said you had a cap rate of about it was listed at 3.5
At the time.
at the time.
Mhm.
So when you bought it for about 4.1%, correct?
Yes.
So that answers that question. Then the next question, and I think you answered it, but I want to just clarify.
Yep.
The rents, you say for the 2 units that you did manage to update, which
Yeah.
is awesome.
Mhm.
But the other 10 you have not been able to update it to this moment.
Correct.
But you had to downgrade some of the rents?
Yeah.
Okay.
Majority of them,
But that's post-reference?
post-reference.
Post-reference here, because everything that the assessor's trying to do and we're trying to come to is a date and time,
Right,
and that being April 1st of 2023.
yeah, so we
we're
were able
always
to
looking-
post-date.
we're always
it to
looking-
February.
We're always looking backwards.
Right, right,
Okay, that's kind of the part of the game that
yeah,
we have to try and do, and that's why I just try to understand if
Sure.
in fact rents were being changed at that point.
so rent as of the email that I sent you guys, that was based on the February 14th was when we were in contact with RTP, and they made a final decision, I'm gonna say the end of March.
But ultimately, You're looking at this and you're saying this was February 7th of this year.
Correct, yeah,
Correct. So, but the assessor and the legislation points at a
Mhm.
point in time the year previous
okay,
to April 1st of 2023. Understand the distinction?
yes, yes,
That's where you want to
that's
get
where it's
at.
coming from.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate your help.
Yeah. No problem.
Thank you, Mike. Ms. Wahoon, any questions of the applicant?
Yeah, just one. If you were to put this property on the market today, are you saying that the property would only be worth 907,000?
Correct, if there was an appraisal done on this property, if I were to put it on the market and somebody would have to get it appraised, it would be appraised at 907. And then they would probably have to pay out of pocket if my property is listed at higher, of course, right? I mean, so obviously we would want to try to get our money back, right, for the property as much as possible, but based on the income today, it is only worth 907.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, just a note for regarding that question and the response. That is post-reference information, economic information that we cannot rely on. We won't, well, the board will decide, well, no, we won't rely on that information because it is post-reference economic. We'll look at physical condition today, but not the economic condition today after the reference date of April 1st, 2023. So anyway, that's just a note. Anything else, Ms. Maroon? No, okay. Okay, Ms. Souza.
Yes,
When I look at the comparisons of the assessor's net operating income and your net operating income, 52,155, it's nearly the same, $500 difference approximately. What income, when is that, what income are you using? What rent are you using to come up with that net operating income?
the current rent at the RTB guidelines rent that they've,
And I think Mr. Colotuglio established that that was post-reference rents. Would that be accurate?
yep, that's what he said, yep.
Yeah, okay. All right. Regarding the sale or the purchase, you did mention that you had an appraisal done at the time of purchase. Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah,
In 2021? Okay.
anytime you purchase a property, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You did not present that value to the board.
The percent value of the property
The appraisal done at the time of purchase for your analysis?
at the time of purchase, the property was actually appraised at 2.95. At 1.295. At the appraisal. And then because it was appraised higher, then we use the money to the difference in what we purchased it to do the roof.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. And at that time, I think Mr. Coltuglio established that the purchase price, excuse me, cap rate was around 4.1%?
That's at the 1.175, the cap rate would be 4.1. But
Okay.
with it being 3.5, the property was appraised at 1.295.
Okay. All right. So can you reconcile for us why you would ask us to use 5.75? I think the misunderstanding possibly is that you're doing current rather than as of April 1st, 2023.
Okay, so if we were to go back to 2023, this is the rates for 2023 though. The cap rate.
Okay. Okay,
Right?
so you're using the assessor's information, is that right?
Correct, yeah.
From the assessor's brief. Okay, okay.
And if I were to compare the appraisal when we purchased it to the appraisal if I were to do appraisal now, that would be what it would be worth. Based on my NOI.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, my last question is, I would like to know about the current condition of the property, physical condition. I believe you mentioned that post-purchase, you replaced the whole flat roof. Would that be correct?
Yeah,
Or,
we did.
and what was the cost of that upgrade? Or,
$80,000.
okay. And you also mentioned that only two of the suites were renovated. Have you done anything to improve any of the suites at all?
We've done, for turnarounds, we usually paint, you know,
Okay.
to try to get, but we've been trying to do one unit, through the above guidelines, every year. We
Okay,
haven't done one this year, but we did do it for the first 2 years. That's why we have the 2 units. One is rented at 1,000 and the other one is, they're both 2 bedrooms. The other one's at 1,133.
okay. Yeah, so when somebody vacates, you take the opportunity to refurbish it, redeck, that kind of thing, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Are the pictures that were provided by the assessor, they have, looks like let's put it this way, the ones that weren't renovated, have you added any new cabinets, any plumbing fixtures, refinished the
No.
floors or anything? No, okay.
No.
And my last question is, the assessor stated that the suite mix was 5 1-bedroom and 7 2-bedroom. Is that accurate?
Correct, yes.
That is accurate. Okay, all right. Yeah. Okay, that is all my questions. To the assessor, any requirement for a summary?
No, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Souza, any requirement for a summary?
No, I don't think I need to redo all of that.
Okay.
I get it. As long as nobody has any questions.
Yeah, okay. That concludes 291 McCray Avenue. Thank you to Ms. Souza for appearing, and you will hear from us as soon as possible, okay?
Thank you for your consideration. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. You too.
We are going to now recess to deal with the next item on the situation with the next 3-4 properties. Fran, could you please put us in camera? Thank you. I will now call the hearing back to order. There are 5 items remaining on the docket, items 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Relevant file numbers are 24-404. Item number 4 is 24-392. Item number 5 is 24-405. Item number 6 is file number 24-386. And item number 7 is 24-389. These items will be adjourned and to be rescheduled at a later date. Therefore, we have heard all the items scheduled and this hearing is now adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Tugala. I think you're finished.
Okay, thank you. Have a
Okay.
good day.
You too. Bye-bye. Thanks.